Now we're going to begin the lab exercise portion of the ABCs of culture, and we're going to do a couple of things. First, we're going to have you identify a lie that Satan is using to destroy or enslave your particular culture. Secondly, we're going to analyze that lie in a number of different ways. First, we're going to look at how is that lie, how is it communicated, how is it transmitted? Secondly, what behaviors does it produce? How do people act? How do they behave as a result of the lie? Then we're going to ask the question, well, what are the results or the consequences of those behaviors for the larger culture? How does it impact churches, families? How has it impacted you personally? And then what are the historical roots of the lie? Where did it originate? This corresponds to the soil of the tree diagram that we looked at in the previous lesson. And then what does the Bible teach in terms of the truth that counters the lie? What is the truth that stands in opposition to the lie? And then we're going to wrap up this exercise by making it very practical. We want to give you an opportunity to consider how you can push back against the lie. What are some specific things that you can do to counter the lie in your culture, in your family, in your life? So let's begin, and we're going to start by just identifying the lie. Now, for those of you who are doing this exercise as a part of an online group or cohort, maybe you're from different cultures, and so it's going to be important that you just do this exercise as an individual. You'll do this individually. You'll have opportunities to share your answers to the questions in the analysis with other members of your cohorts. You can learn from each other, but you'll do this individually. Now, if you're doing this as a part of a group that's meeting maybe once a week face-to-face for discussion, you're all part of the same culture, what I'd like you to do is, as a group, brainstorm lies and then select one that you'll take on as a group for this exercise. Now, let me give you some guidelines as you consider this whole question of choosing a lie. First of all, I want you to think in terms of lies or deceptions of Satan that generally affect the whole culture and not just the church or not just Christians. Let me give you an example. So a lie that's very prevalent and very damaging in my culture in the United States, it's widely believed, it affects largely the whole culture, is this. I would state it this way: man is the result of a purposeless process of evolution. Or I could say it a different way: man is nothing more than a highly evolved animal. So that's a widely held belief or lie in my culture that has widespread consequence. What I don't want you to do is think of an issue of controversy in the church. For example, maybe infant baptism versus full immersion, and you might feel very strongly about one of those two things and consider the other a lie. I don't want you to choose those kinds of issues because they're really only relevant to people inside the church. What I want you to be thinking of now are lies that impact whole cultures, and maybe not everybody, but most of the people in those cultures. Here are some other examples that you might consider, and you can choose anything you like. You don't have to limit to these examples, but I want to help you understand what I'm talking about. Men are superior to women. This is a very common, very destructive lie in many cultures around the world. Another example is God cares only about spiritual things. He doesn't care about our bodies, He doesn't care about our work or other aspects of life on earth. Yes, that's a lie that affects mostly Christians, but it has impact on the larger culture. Or another example, again, very prevalent in my culture, but also around the world: money will solve every problem. Another common lie. So these are examples of lies you might choose. And again, I'm not limiting you to these examples, but they're just ideas. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to take time, take several minutes, and think carefully and pray and ask God to give you insight into a lie that is very destructive in your culture. What is causing the most damage? What is preventing you, your nation, from developing and from growing? So think about that. And once you have an idea, I want you to write it down, because that's what we're going to analyze in the sessions coming up. So Write it down. If you're working in a face-to-face group, a cohort that meets together, I want you to brainstorm the lies that you've come up with and select one to work with as a group. Do this now before you go on to the next video segment.